Tell us about
You want me to stand up?
Yeah, come on.
Well, I'm new to Baikoen Bonsai, but I'm not new to bonsai. My name is Ernie Son. I'm with Phoenix Bonsai Society. So I see the guys all the time. They was there. I'm seeing them doing well. And so I'm in the area today, and then I come to the door and cheer this guy on a little bit. He's doing a demo tonight. So. All right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Clark Taylor. I am new to bonsai and new to the club, so excited to learn more.
Great, welcome. Anybody else?
You want to see me? You want to join?
Okay, yeah, see Shirley, she takes all money. Okay.
That's right.
Okay, and I hope everybody survived August. That's why we don't do a meeting in August, because down here it gets too hot, even with the AC. So, appreciate everybody coming back and supporting. So tonight, Brian Pitts, he's the president of David's Club, I'm sorry.
Chino Bonsai.
Chino Bonsai. Senior moment thing. Yeah. And he's gonna be, at the rendezvous, he's gonna be the rising star for the Los Angeles area. Okay, so he's gonna be demoing up there. So, please welcome, and please talk about your show, and I'll let you go. Okay, thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Ryan Pitts. I'm like Joe said, I'm the president of Chino Bonsai Club. I've been doing bonsai for 6 years. It started in May of 2019 by accident. I bought a tree for a friend of mine as a housewarming gift, not knowing that was a terrible idea. And then fell down the rabbit hole. He killed it, and I kept mine alive, and I've been at it ever since. We do have a show coming up October 4th and 5th, the Chino Bonsai Club show. We do it every year. It's over in San Gabriel by the hospital. I hope to see everybody there. This year we're doing public workshops. I have a few spaces available still, so if anybody wants to sign up, we have a workshop on Sunday morning at 11. I have large procumbens twisted up. They'll be great literati. So if anybody's interested, just come see me after. I'll put your name in for the demo or the workshop on Sunday.
It's in our email, so all the
I
information.
don't think the workshops are on that flyer.
It is, yeah,
Okay.
on Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got my email on there if anybody wants to email me. I'm a member of this club. I almost never come to a meeting because it falls on the nights that I work, but I really enjoy this club. I want to thank Joe and for inviting me, and everybody that's involved with this club does a great job. Lindsay and Shirley and Tom. I really appreciate this club. It's one of the best clubs in Southern California, I think. So today I have an Itoigawa. This is an Itoigawa I ground grew this for 6 years. This was a cutting that I bought from Mr. Kim. Everybody know Mr. Kim up in Phelan? Is
it still open?
not anymore, but I bought this like the first month when I was going down that rabbit hole. My girlfriend Liz and I went up there and I bought a cutting from Mr. Kim. And this is 6 years later. I've been growing and twisting and growing and twisting in the ground. So now I dug it up and I brought it here today. Because this was ground grown, I've been trying to grow it fast. There's not a lot of interiors to work with. So we're gonna do what is the best way to work with bonsai, I think, and that's to set the structure first. So when you make a bonsai, don't try to make a bonsai immediately. There's a lot of people that say, oh, we don't like demos, it's not a good way to learn, it's not a good representation of how you do bonsai, and that's true. But they're still fun, and we can show the process. So we're gonna set the structure on this. We'll try to make it as presentable as we can while keeping the health of the tree in mind. I brought some examples over here to show you what will happen as we progress. So at the end of tonight, we'll have a tree and the initial styling. And then this is a tree 1 year later. This is a tree I did 1 year ago. When I did it a year ago, everything was much longer. Everything was out to here. And over time, we compress it in. It will back bud, you push it back, you push it back. This is 1 year after first styling. So it's not a finished tree, it's in progress still. 1 year, this is 2 years.
You get this place seat?
So this is 2 years from first styling from nursery stock. This is nursery stock tree from Ed Clark. And this is also 2 years. This was a tree, somebody else did, Robert Gugavine did this in the Rising Stars competition 2 years ago at the GSBF Rendezvous. I bought it at the auction, and then I pretty much totally restyled it just because him and I had different styles. He did a great job on it, but I had something else in mind. So this has been completely rebuilt in 2 years. If you go on my Instagram, you can see the progression pictures of this. And how quickly an Itoigawa can progress in 2 years is really astounding. It's one of the reasons I like Itoigawa. My favorite trees are junipers. I like California junipers the most. But if you're wanting a tree that you don't have to constantly work at rewiring and upkeep, Itoigawas are great. They grow real fast. They do great with our climate here. They have more of a resistance to insects. If you are dealing with some of the other Shimpaku varieties, like Kishu, for example, they supposedly do even better with the heat. I haven't had any issues with either as far as heat goes, but the Kishu get infested with spider mites at the drop of a hat. They just love, spider mites love them. But the Itoigawa, they grow about 5 times as fast in my experience, and they're more resistant to all those things. They make great trees. And as you can see, they will get pretty dense in a short period of time. So in another year, this one will be really ready to be shot.
If he's gonna do a great job. We're gonna keep this tree for our auction and our show coming up next year. I'm sorry, I didn't get to talk about that. Yeah, next year our show is, I forget the date.
June the 17th,
Yeah.
January 17th,
Yeah, so is it the 16th is the Friday?
yes.
Yeah, so we'll be setting up on the 16th, in Aries Hall down here. We'll need as many people as we can get there, probably 10 o'clock. And then,
10 to 5.
10 to 5, yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, so now we've got this Itoigawa. When I approach a tree, pretty much the first thing I do is I decide what do I want to use as the front, and then I just cut off everything that doesn't work with that front. So if we spin this tree around, it might be hard to see because there's a lot of twists and foliage in here, but anybody see something they would like as a front? You could just tell me to stop if you see something you like. Anybody? Yeah, it's hard to see, isn't it? Especially this side, you can't see a thing. So when you're picking a front, I usually will think about the base. If we're talking about something besides a juniper, I think about the roots a lot more. On a juniper, I tend not to worry too much about an abari. It's kind of not the way they grow. Sometimes you get one, sometimes you won't. Especially on the Amadori, you just forget about it completely. You don't worry about an abari. What you're looking for is good movement, a good line, and branches that you can work with that particular front. So pretty much the way I look at it, this side here, it's not very usable. The tree kind of falls away from you. It looks a little too curly-Q. I don't like that. So it would be either this side or this side. If I'm looking at this side, again, it just looks a little bit too much like a curly-Q. And it's kind of pigeon-breasted here. This really comes out at you. So I don't like that so much. So I think I'm gonna have to go with this side over here. Probably right around here. And we're gonna end up making a smallish tree with this just because of the diameter of the trunk. It's really twisted and compressed, so we can't make a literati with it. It's just too short. I could make like a semi-cascade or something with it, but it would just look funny. It would be too much foliage for the size of the trunk. I try to keep everything in scale. That's how it looks like a larger tree. If I made a semi-cascade, which I could do with this and all this, it would just look silly in my opinion. It wouldn't look like a large tree. It would look like a bonsai tree, and I want it to look like more like a regular tree. So we're gonna have to do some cuts. If I'm gonna use this as a front, we have some things that are sticking straight out at me, which I don't think we want to use.
Are any of those gonna be big enough to gin?
Yes, this should have plenty of gems. When you're dealing with, this is gonna be a shohin, it's gonna be slightly larger than shohin, but when you're dealing with a small size tree, I kinda like to leave a little more gem like I did with with that smallish trees, probably be about this size and we're done. We're dealing with a large tree, I don't like big, long gens, they look kind of funky to me. But a smallish tree, I think they make sense, especially one that has this much movement. If the gens are just gonna be straight and boring, I would just cut them off personally. But if there's nice movement in the branch that you're cutting off, leave a gen. All right, so if we're gonna whip this around, it's a good idea. A lot of people will start with cleaning the tree, going in and cleaning up the tops and bottoms and stuff. But since I'm doing a demo, I'm probably gonna just be doing that as I go because we're limited on time here. Cut off this.
A lot of cuttings.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of cuttings, and I won't charge you $20 like Mr. Kim did. This is pretty funky. I don't think we can use that.
Is it a variety of what you go, or?
I don't think so. It just seems pretty standard to me.
Oh, okay.
But they grow so fast. I had this in the ground for 6 years, and it was just one of these when I bought it, you know. And I bought a Kishu whip at the same time. The Kishu is still about this size in the ground. It did nothing.
Yeah.
But these, they just really explode.
So that is Itoigawa rootstock that it's on, or? Is
Yeah, it's a cutting, so it just grew its own roots, yeah.
Do you amend the soil with anything?
No.
You plant it just-
What I did is I just stuck this in a grow bed in my backyard. But after a while, the gophers started eating everything. So I put it into just a nursery can and buried that half in the ground. So to help the roots escape, it's just black lava and like 10% potting soil, so that when it hits the dirt, it's not in too different of a soil. It's used to some potting soil. I find that if you just use straight bonsai soil, it'll just want to circle around in here instead of escaping. So I put a little bit of potting soil to help it escape. I don't know if it works or not, but it seems to. All right, so I've cut off a few branches. I think we're gonna be making some first branches down over here. We're making some back branches, probably with this one, which means I can cut off some of this. And I'd like a balanced branch back over here. And the apex should be around here somewhere when we're done. If anybody has any questions, I'm just gonna kind of bomb through this because I've got a limited amount of time and a lot of tree to get through, even though it doesn't look like it. So if anybody has any questions, just go ahead and
So how do you get
shoot them out.
all that movement as you're growing it?
That's a good question. So you just continually wire it and then unwire it before it bites in. So this tree, I would wire twice a year. I'd wire, unwire, just keep twisting it.
Wow.
Did you dig it up?
Yeah, I dug it up and then planted it in here and then reburied the pot. Yeah. So it had rooted out into the ground again, and I dug it out a couple of weeks ago. So it's plenty healthy to be worked on now. When you're working on a juniper, what you want to see is these long whips. That's telling you the tree is healthy and ready to be worked. If a tree didn't have these long whips, I wouldn't touch it. You'll see foliage like this. I don't know if anybody could see that, but it's real gray. The tips are not bright. It's just sitting there sucking energy. So when you go through and you're working a juniper, you can either clean beforehand or clean as you work. You take all this stuff out, and it's gonna send the energy to where you need it, and it'll help these tips get real long. The power in junipers, the strength in the junipers is in the foliage tips. That's one of the reasons we don't pinch the tips like people used to do back in the day. It sucks all the energy out. So you really wanna let these tips grow That'll send power to the roots will send power back to the tips, and the whole tree will get a lot stronger. So if you wait until you see these really ballooning out like this, and then you work it, you're gonna progress your tree much, much faster. Also with Itoigawa, they shoot out before they fluff up inside. So you really need to let Itoigawa run. If it's not running, it's not gonna get dense inside. You let it run for a while, you cut it back, and this will really balloon up. Kishu is the opposite. I don't have a Kishu here, but Kishu will balloon up first. It'll puff up and then send out a runner.
So Ryan, when this tree was, in the ground,
Yeah.
what kind of development, or what were you doing to develop it in the ground? Were you fertilizing it, were you just, were you pruning anything, or were you just watering it and just letting it grow?
I didn't prune anything. I just hit it with some Miracle Grow every once in a while and let it go.
Yes. Because it shouldn't be different. It should balance it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm hearing questions over there about Shimpaku and Itoigawa.
Yes, yes.
So when I was a month into bonsai and I went up to Mr. Kim's to look for something to buy, and I saw a bunch of trees with $10,000 price tags, and I said, "I'll take a cutting, please." What I said was, "I want a Shimpaku," because I had heard somebody on YouTube say the word Shimpaku, and he took me over to this and he said, "Here, this is an Itoigawa," and I said, "Well, I want a Shimpaku." He said, "Yeah, it's a Shimpaku." I said, "I thought you said it was an Itoigawa." So then I grabbed a Kishu and I said, "Well, what about this? Is this a Shimpaku?" He said, "Yeah, that's a Shimpaku. It's a Kishu." I said, "I thought you said it was a Shimpaku." So Shimpaku is just the Japanese word for a juniper that has scale foliage like this, the soft foliage, not the needle stuff. That's all it is. Shimpaku just means juniper with scale foliage. In Japan, they would call the California juniper or Shimpaku California with a Japanese accent. So yeah, it's just a variety of juniper, Shimpaku. All right, so I made a couple little gens out of what I've cut off so far, but we're gonna keep cutting. And keep ginning.
How many junipers do you have at home?
I don't know, maybe about 20 or so.
Did you start them from cuttings?
No, this is the only one. This is the only one. This is kind of a special tree to me.
How many years ago did you start it as a cutting, if you can remember?
This was 6 years. So I started in May of 2019. So,
Really?
yeah.
So they come on hard.
Yeah, these grow real fast, especially if they are able to root into the ground.
What do you use for fertilizer?
When they're in the ground, I'll use anything. I don't care. I'll use chemical or whatever, but if they're in a bonsai pot, I will only use organic fertilizer. Now I've tried to use, like David and June sell this stuff called tamahi, which is what they use at a lot of professional nurseries in Japan. It's really good. It's like a rapeseed oil cake or something. And they're really good, except the animals love them at my house. So if I put them out, in 15 minutes they're gone. So I stopped using those. Now I just use Miracle Grow makes an organic. It's like Pebbles, but it's organic. It's in a yellow can. It's called Miracle Grow Performance Organic or something. I just use that now because since it's just like granules, the animals can't run off with it. That seems to be working pretty well, but I don't fertilize very often. I fertilize usually twice a year. Spring and fall, that's it. On a tree in a pot anyway. The reason for that is I want to control the growth of the trees. I want to slow them down as much as possible. I like to work with a lot of Yamadori, especially Californias. And if you over fertilize a juniper, especially Yamadori, they will go juvenile. They'll push too hard, they'll end up weakening themselves. So I don't fertilize very often. I want to slow down that growth. You know, a lot of the native foliage on the junipers that we have in America are real, they grow real leggy, real coarse and leggy. So if you push them, they're just going to get coarser and leggier. So I grow mine real slow. I use a higher percentage. I use 50-50 Akadama black lava to help slow them down a little bit, and I reduce the fertilizer quite a bit as well.
You use a different fertilizer in the fall than in the spring?
Nope, just use the same stuff. It's pretty low. I don't use anything over 10 on anything. You know, 10, 10, 10, it's gotta be below that for me.
And no pumice.
Nope, I don't use any pumice. I found no benefit to using pumice. I started off using pumice, I tried that. It floats out the pot and it doesn't look that great, and it didn't seem to have any actual benefit. So I just go 50-50 black lava and Akadama, and that seems to work real well for me. All right, so we have to decide what branches we actually need on this thing. We're not gonna need them all to be this long, but we're gonna leave them long for now until we decide what we're doing. Cut a few off. Let's see. So I know I need this one because I want to use this for a balanced branch. I know I need these because I want to use these to make a first branch. I know I want this one. This will be like a center branch. And then for an apex, that's going to be a little tougher because nothing is in a great spot to make an apex on here. I have this for a back branch, but I could also make a back branch just with one of these here, which might actually be better. There's a lot of curly-Q stuff in here because I just, like I said, I wired everything into spirals.
Where is the front now?
The front is, let me see, I could mark it, I should mark it for you guys. I'm gonna have the front somewhere around here, I think. So the front should be somewhere around there. There's gonna be a lot more gems by the time we're done. So I think we're gonna cut off this entire section here. It's like a perfectly placed back branch, but everything is so far out. When you're making a tree this small, it's okay to really twist stuff around into place. If I was doing a tree that size, I would never do that because you would see it right in your face. I don't like to just spaghetti everything around on a normal sized tree, but on a shohin or this is going to be just above shohin, it's acceptable to do that because you kind of have to compress it, and it's going to be so dense that you're not going to see inside there anyway. So to make this smaller, I'm gonna whip some of these ones that are to the side around to make back branches. And I'll whip some of these that are coming back forward to make the front branches. Anybody have any other questions?
What is the red handle tool you have?
Oh, that's a wire cutter.
Is it really that good, or it's so expensive?
So, yeah, Ryan Neal sells those. So what I did is I went on Ryan Neal's website and got the part number and then bought it on Amazon. Shh, don't tell him, he's not watching. But they're good because I mostly just use copper. I work with fairly large trees generally because I'm in the Chino Bonsai Club and that's what we do. So I need big wire cutters for big copper wire.
So Ryan, for a question for someone, let's say, that's new to bonsai, what are some of the strong traits that would make a person who's interested in trying to make a decision whether or not, hey, is this a good material to buy, to develop versus not being a good material? What are some of the key things that you look for, let's say, on a not from a 30,000 foot view, but just sort of kind of from a basic standpoint, which things would you suggest you gotta definitely make sure that
If you're looking to buy material or a finished tree, do you think?
to buy material?
Material?
Let's say somebody that wants to sell, I was in the nursery and I was looking around instead of constantly buying stuff that, you know, is not suitable for a 5 or 6 year project. Or
Mostly
2 or
I'm
3 year
looking
project.
at trunk. You know, I want a trunk with some movement, and I want a trunk that's hopefully doesn't have reverse taper. If we're talking about a juniper, reverse taper is not that big a deal. That's what Shari's for. So don't pass up a juniper because it has reverse taper. That's not an issue, but you're looking for something with movement because that's something you can't put in later on especially on a larger tree. You're not gonna be able to put movement into a trunk. So movement is number one. You want a trunk with good movement. Maybe if you have one with nice taper, that's even better. But I don't really worry too much about the branches on a material I'm looking for. I really just care about the trunk.
Can you explain what a reverse taper is?
A reverse taper would be, especially on something like a black pine or even more a Japanese maple. You have a large cluster of branches in one spot, you'll get a ball. All the energy will go to where all these branches converge and your tree will stop tapering and it'll go back out. You'll have a reverse of your taper. So that's pretty undesirable, especially on deciduous trees.
Do you have a graft back into it when you want to use a branch?
Yeah, you can, and that's why I don't really worry too much about the branching that's on the tree to begin with, because you could always graft. Even if you're talking about Yamadori junipers, you could always just graft in, graft the whole thing over, make branches where you need to. If you're talking about a deciduous tree, it's even easier to graft. On a tree like Itoigawa, you don't even have to worry about grafting, it'll just backbud for you. They're really easy to work with.
Do you protect your potted trees, the heat of summer with shade cloth of any kind?
Deciduous trees I do. Most of my deciduous, trident maples I do not. Maple trees, I have a Stewardia. Redwoods I'll protect, but all my conifers pretty much, besides the redwoods, yeah, I just leave them out in the sun. I don't do anything, I just water. Yeah, the junipers and black pines, they love sun. If you're not giving them all the sun all the time, they're gonna hate you. They're not gonna grow as well, they're not gonna respond as well, they're gonna suffer. So I don't use any shade cloth, I don't do any protection on my junipers, I don't cover the pots even, I don't do anything. And I live out in the Inland Empire a little bit, so it's a little bit warmer than it is out here, and I haven't had any problems.
So while you grow in the trees, especially in the ground, I mean, did you ever like have like a rough vision for it as you were wiring and trimming it, or is it just like you grow it to a point and then you're like, okay, let's see what I have to work with?
Well, if I didn't have to do a demo today, this would still be in the ground. Yeah. It's hard to find material out there, and I wanted to bring something nice for Joe and you guys. But yeah, I envisioned this being twice this big at least, so that the spiral was all touching, so it was just a big, massive swirl. That's what I was going for. So this needed another, 5-6 years in the ground probably to achieve that, but we could still make a nice tree with it.
But you made moves toward that vision as far as you.
Yeah, but don't worry about that. If you just want to grow material, don't worry about what is it gonna be. Just twist it up and let it go, and then worry about what you can do with it later. You can do something with anything. So it really doesn't matter if it doesn't turn out like you envisioned it, because it'll still be fine. I'm gonna shorten these a little bit.
I'm really new, so how long would you leave it in that pot and work on it in that pot?
So,
Or before you would do something like how long did you work on those before you put them in the
so this one I did at our club show last year, and then I brought it home and put it in a pot, like a couple months later. our show's in October, right? I repot conifers in the winter, since I don't get any freezing where I'm at. I repot December, January, and it didn't care. The reason to not repot is if you want to grow the branching a lot thicker or the trunk a lot thicker. If you want to just keep growing this bigger, then sure, leave it in the nursery can or put it back in the ground. But once I have the design I want, and I'm not trying to get these branches or the trunk any thicker, I want to slow down the foliage growth, right? Because otherwise it's just going to be like this again. So I want to compress it. So I put it in a pot and I use bonsai soil. All right, I got to decide what I'm going to do for an apex here. I got a few options here. I got this big old thing here, which I don't like at all, because to bend this, I could bend this. I could raffia it, I could split it, and I could bend it, but it's just so large, and I don't think it'll make a very nice bend. And I think it'll look a little
I think
contrived.
it's a little out of proportion for the time.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. So I think what I'm gonna do is just cut this off. Probably cut that one off too. So now I've got these two that I could play with. This one is coming forward, which is a little strange, so I could bend this all the way back and make something with this, or I could bend this one forward and make something with this. I don't think I want to do...
That answer that?
I think I want to do that. Right. So I know I want a first branch here. I need a back branch over here. I need an apex. I need a counterbalance branch. So I've got pretty much all the branching I need. I've got more than I need still. I think I'm going to get rid of this one completely. And I'm gonna work, I'm making the gins as I go, because once I start putting wire on these branches, it's gonna be impossible to get back in here and make any gins. You'll see a lot of people will, when they're making a gin, they'll take their scissors and they'll go like this. Yeah, so that it doesn't keep ripping down the trunk too much. I kind of don't like to do that. I like it to look a little bit more natural, but that's just a personal preference. It is safer if you go like this to stop it from running onto the branch that you actually need. But that's just a matter of personal preference. I kind of like when it looks a little jagged and a little more natural. So when I'm done, you'll see this one that I just scored and these other ones that I didn't. They look a little bit different.
So Ryan, once you pull the cambium off of the gin, how long before you treat it?
Well, it needs to dry, so I wouldn't treat it for a while. Yeah, and I would use lime sulfur on that eventually. Also, while these are still wet, if you wanted to wire them a little more, you could. What I like to do if I'm at home, I didn't bring it because I don't want to set off the fire alarm, but you can wire it or even just bend it with your hand and hit it with a little torch, and it'll just steam bend itself into place immediately. So I do that quite a bit. Those gins on the bottom, I did that with all of those.
You wear gloves.
No.
And that's without the use of a towel.
Yeah. Put a wet towel or something over the foliage, because
Yeah.
you know, heat goes where heat goes. You can't stop that. So you don't want to burn all your leaves off. I did that once. done very quickly. I should have used a towel.
I have a question. You know, when you're choosing the front of a tree and you're kind of deciding, okay, what, as part of the trunk, what the front should be, you take in consideration how the movement comes out of the soil?
Yeah, that's a great question,
I
Lindsay.
mean, like sideways or goes toward the back or?
Yeah, unless it's a formal upright, I don't want it coming straight up out of the soil. It looks a little off if your tree comes straight up and then all of a sudden it has all this crazy movement. So yeah, that's a great question. I would always try to angle it a little bit, one way or another. Unless it's a formal upright, you don't want your trunk coming straight up out of the ground. And this tree, I angled it before. After I dug it up, I angled it in this pot and tied it in because it was straight up out of the ground. So you'll see the roots are up here. There's a big mound of roots up here because I changed the angle to avoid that, exactly. But with an Itoigawa, that's no problem at all. You'll be able to reduce those roots. It'll root out everywhere else. Much, much easier than something like a California juniper, which that would be near impossible to do. With this, you just work away at this and it'll be back under the soil. And we have a trunk with a nice angle coming out of the ground. All right, so now we've got, I think, everything we need, more than we need really. And we could start putting some wire on this thing. Take out a couple more. Shorten some of these.
Ryan,
Yeah,
how many cuttings do you grow in a year?
not many. Not many, because I always forget to take them. I just don't have the room. I'm gonna come see you. I know you got cuttings, right?
Because I grow a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna come knocking. I have a
And they
few.
don't sell a whip this long.
Yeah.
And that's when you start bending them.
Yeah. Yeah, I should really get on that. I encourage everybody to do it if you have the space and the years ahead of you. I mean, there's a whole mountain of cuttings over here.
Peter, when's the best time to start cuttings?
As long as you can get a hold of a tree that you wanna cut, doesn't really matter. Before, when I used to help cut on the demo, which is November convention, stuff like that, and we'll cut them off, we take at least about 70% of the foliage, and so I asked them, hey, you guys wanna take some cuttings? Oh, no, and I have a black trash bag ready already. And all my cuttings from Itoigawa and mainly Itoigawa is from Clack. You know, and so I told myself, if I sell a tree, I have to replace it with 20 cuttings. Otherwise, you're gonna run out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a tree like that, you're gonna have at least 40, 50 cuttings.
Oh yeah. I wish I'd done more, you know.
Has the little bumps on it, that's where the root comes out.
The bumps out.
And you don't need any rooting hole and stuff like that, you just strike it.
That's it.
Yeah, you know, and the soil, you can use the most cheapest one, you know, lava rock and garden soil.
Yeah, I just use whatever leftover soil I have. But yeah, I wish I'd taken more cuttings back when I was getting started, you know.
The tree doesn't know that it's just lava rock and garden soil.
Right.
They have to earn it. You know?
I'm gonna lead the charge here, you guys, before y'all run me over.
Yeah, David was always telling me, you know, you should really be doing more cuttings, and if you see a tree, go buy it. You're gonna need trees for demos. I should have listened to him, but I did not.
Ernie, you don't have a problem with the heat? in Phoenix?
Yeah, but like I said, I'm building down south, so,
Yeah.
you know, I'm starting my armada.
Do you have a greenhouse?
No. Yeah. You don't need much space for this.
Yeah.
The weather's about to change, so we can get some things started.
Greenhouses, make it real easy, but, you know, I just wrap them in a plastic bag, tie them up.
You're talking about the cuttings, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
When you start them in a starting box, do you cover them?
Yeah, I'll just throw them in a nursery can with whatever junk soil I got laying around and then water them and tie them up in a plastic bag and put them in the shade for a while. That usually works for me.
So you like the humidity then captured in?
Yeah, that way they
as a
don't have any
table
roots to uptake water, so that helps them keep them from drying out.
or cold frame. Cause I know some junipers, for me, they don't do as well if you tent it. You know, with
Is that right? Yeah, I haven't had any issues. But there's all kinds of different ways, you know. Maybe Peter does it differently, but that's always worked for me. What do you do, Peter, for cuttings?
Cutting. What was the question again?
How do you strike your cuttings? What do you do?
If it was a cutting of a juniper, there's no way of just cutting it, provided that you just have a sharp knife like that or a scissors. And the more you cut, the more cuttings you get, the better. Because timing is the key. You know, if you're gonna do it in the winter time, of course, you're just gonna sit there and die slowly. But normally, what I do is that, let's say if the convention was November, I get the cuttings from November, I'll do the same thing, same cutting, but I put heating pad on all the cuttings. And believe me, TAC has trees that are like 400 for the workshop, so there's a lot of fluids has to be cut.
So you don't have to wait till the buds start to swell before taking cuttings and
No.
planting.
No. You're telling the tree to grow by using the heating pad.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of those at one time.
I have a couple of heating pads too. I use them for Yamadori after collection. If I collect in the fall, I'll use a heating pad. But I have thrown a couple of my bags of cuttings on there, and they did take real easily, so.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. I remember I gave one, a lot of them, last week. And Peter, there's a lot of cuttings here. You know, now you're gonna stress me now on the weekend. You know what, if you can't use it, put it in the fridge, in the back. And so they asked me, Peter, it's a dumb question. Where do you put it? Do you put it in the bird section or the meat section?
In the vegetable board.
Okay, put it in the bird section, drink it first and put it there. Yeah, I worked with Ichigawa for a long time, and sometimes you can't really tell how you grow because they just grow. You know, and the key is, I think the most important thing is make sure that the cuttings you get, with those little bumps on there, because that's where the root comes out. If it doesn't show, it's gonna take at least 3 to 4 months. With those little bumps, I would say within a month. And sometimes, since I did a lot of them, I go, oh, if it doesn't love them, there's roots. And sometimes I just pull it, there's a root in there, oh, sorry, I'll put it back.
Yeah, these will root out real easy. They're great for making a raft. You can just lay it down, it'll grow roots everywhere. So now I'm starting to wire. I really love wiring. I don't think I mentioned it. I learned bonsai from David Nguy and Chino. You probably assumed that since I'm president of the Chino Bonsai Club. But David's wiring technique really appeals to me. Just some tips on wiring. The way David does it is slightly different from some other people I've seen, like Ryan, Neal, and Bjorn. If I'm gonna wire a branch down, I will start the wire on the underside of the branch and bring it down. If I'm gonna wire a branch up, I will start the wire on the top. People do it different ways. I don't know why those other guys do it the other way, because I do it both ways and this way works better. Maybe it's just the way I bend it, but starting on the bottom, if I'm bringing a branch down, I get a better bend doing it that way. You always want to wire two branches together. Pretty much everybody knows that. If you don't have a branch to wire or a free branch, just wire it to one that's already got wire on it. One tip I would give you for wiring, because a lot of people I know don't like wiring, right? People get really frustrated with it. They say, every time I try to wire, I end up crossing everywhere, and I get frustrated, and I just say, screw it, I'm not wiring anymore, I hate wiring. So don't worry about, I need to wire this branch, so I'm gonna wire this branch with this branch. Don't do that, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get frustrated when it doesn't work out, because the wire doesn't go there. So just start at the inside, close to the trunk, find yourself a branch, put wire on it, go down until you find one that works. That's all you gotta do. Don't worry about, I gotta do this branch and this branch and this branch and this branch. Just start on the inside, work your way out until you find something that works. It'll all work out in the end, trust me. Also, when I wire, most of the time I will put a little loop on the end of the wire, like this. Yeah, right at the end. That way I can adjust wherever I want the tip of that branch to go. I can adjust it any direction, and I'm not worrying about it falling out. You don't have to do it real tight. You want to leave it loose so you're not choking your branch. But having that little loop on there gives you a lot of control. And when you're bending a branch, wherever the wire is on the outside, that's where you do your bend. I want to bend it over here. I'm going to bend it here so that this wire on the outside is supporting that branch. If I bend it here, there's no wire to support this little part here, and it'll crack. So you want to bend it, support it on both sides, and bend it right where that wire is supporting it on the outside of the branch. Since the trunk is really twisty and has a lot of movement, I'm trying to include a lot of movement into the branches as well. That's a good rule of thumb when you're designing a tree. Take a cue from the trunk. If the trunk is straight, it doesn't make sense to have branches going like this all over the place. It's gonna look strange. So kind of take a look at what the trunk is doing and mimic that with the branching. At least with the primary branches. Once you get out to the secondary, tertiary branches, you don't need to be waving everything around. Just make everything nice. Thanks, Tom.
Another question, Ryan.
Yeah.
Do you use raffia when you start training your whip?
No. I don't use any raffia because it's so small it doesn't need it. If I was starting them off with a larger piece of material, then yeah, I suppose I would have to. It's the problem with the small tree, I have to get down low here.
Yeah.
Generally, when you're doing a first branch, you want that branch to be coming towards you. Every once in a while, in Japan, you'll see a tree where the first branch is on the back or on the side or something. That's one of those things where it's good to know the rules before you break them, because a lot of times that can look really uninviting if your tree has a tail on the back of it.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. But as a general rule of thumb, you want your first branch to be inviting and welcoming you into the tree, so you bring it towards the front. So this first branch, I've whipped it back. I whipped it back and then I whipped it forward to shorten it and bring it towards the front to welcome your eye into the design. Also, I like to do this and rest my wire on my neck as I go.
So Ryan, you talked about the first development, first year, then the second year. At what point do you migrate from the annealed aluminum to copper when you're rewiring?
When you're ready to prepare it for a show, generally. The thing is, I prefer to work with copper. Copper is, for me, it's much easier to work with because you can work with a smaller size of wire. It doesn't get as much in the way, and it goes on a lot better actually, but it's expensive.
But it holds its position.
It holds really, really well. So to get the same hold with aluminum, you need a much bigger size of aluminum, which is why I prefer copper. But I don't have the money to copper everything, so I only use copper once I've got a tree in a bonsai pot and it's looking to go into a show. And then once it gets to that stage where it's good enough to be in a bonsai pot and be shown, I will just only use copper from then on.
You show trees with copper on it?
Yeah, I will not show a tree with aluminum on it. With conifers, it's acceptable to show with wire, as long as it's copper. With deciduous, generally you don't want to have wire all over it. Alright, so I've got one branch almost entirely wired there. We've still got to do the ones below it, and we've got to make our back branches.
Okay, like I said, that's gonna go in our auction. Is Ray still here? Ray, yes. Ray, yeah, can you come up here? So for our raffle tree, Ray keeps bringing in these beautiful trees, and we appreciate it.
These both will need to be repotted this year. This is just a low-zone cover. I think I started this from seed about 98. Last time I was able to get seed, so it's pretty old. Usually they're just one trunk, but this one, for whatever reason, was leaning over, so I decided to turn it into a little triple trunk. This, were both my mom's. This ginkgo is the Chi-Chi variety. It was originally a formal upright, but the center trunk died. No, she just wasn't there the last few years. So I got rid of most of that except for this little stub and turned it into a bloom style. This was in a bigger pot earlier today, or a smaller pot earlier today. I put it in this big pot, so it has a lot of old soil inside it. You know, the outside looks nice, but in-house, it would be probably better. That's about it.
Thank you, Rick. So, we'll let Ryan keep on working over here, and, we can get refreshments, and Lily's over there selling tickets, and like I said, this is our raffle tree, and, plenty of stuff back there. Back there, there's terracotta pots that I got from Ted Matson. Ted Matson gave me a couple trees, so everybody take a pot for free. If there's any left over, you can take two, so help yourself. There's a lot of them in the box over there. Hey, Liz?
It's a really nice ginkgo, it's very generous.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so you guys wanna come up and take a look? How you doing, Kev?
Hey,
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Oh, man, I really
Yeah.
appreciate you. I'm keeping that tree for one of your own personal collections.
Yeah, it's my earliest tree, yeah.
Yeah, if you guys wanna come up and take some cuttings, then we don't have to throw them away. Right, Ernie?
That's right.
Yeah. So we're good. We're moving in. On the table up there, or the cart? Where my cart go? Might go in the cart. Is it on the table outside? In the hallway? Yeah. You can cut that in half and make two with it.
When you wire the tools, you try to make the second time you wire it the opposite direction.
No. I try to do the same direction. Yeah, because if it gets scarred, the cambium will start to spiral because it got scarred, and if you go the other way, you cut it off completely, and it'll just die. So as long as it hasn't scarred, it really doesn't matter. But usually if there's a, you can see where the last wire was, try to keep it the same.
In other words, I can't select. It used to, but it's fine.
I guess so. Huh?
I know, good to see you. I make it out when I can. Yeah, man. Hopefully more next year. Probably sometime this year. Yeah, right.
gonna have to have a big bend on it. It's a small branch, but yeah, all the way back. It has to go 180. Please don't break it off. It has to go 180. Has a lock on it.
One of the reasons is so that we have a variety of trees, and yet every year.
There's a third one there, that's some help in the back.
And, you know, they always want to.
Mr. Kim.
Mr. Kim, Benny
Lived
Kim.
out in the desert.
Guy live up in Fallon way up there.
No.
Benny Kim.
Pizza?
You have any whiskey?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my garden. Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. No, we retired. We retired or sold the place. And he wanted to travel.
Mr. Kim? He was like 97 years old.
Well, just a message. He said he wanted to travel. I don't know. But he was trying
Well, I hope he did.
He was trying to sell the place.
Yeah. He was pushing a wheelbarrow, he had a chainsaw, he was cutting stuff out. He was like 90-something years old. I was like, wow.
Wasn't his daughter helping him for a while?
She wasn't there. I think they were the ones selling off his stuff. Everything's sold now.
Cold up there too, Fallon.
Yeah, it's high desert.
It is cold up there. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's nice. Really? Are they yellow or?
Yeah, it's going up there.
Do you,
They're not, it's, they don't quite as robust.
do you water the foliage? Don't do that.
Don't want the foliage.
No, when they look pale like that, it could be spider mites. I'd have to see it, but it could be spider mites. Or what's more common, I mean spider mites pretty common, but what's more common is it's calcium deposits from the water. You know, our water is really hard. And it's full of all kinds of stuff, and it'll turn your leaves gray. There's, the stomata in here, the little scales on the leaves, they open up, the water gets in there, the calcium deposits get stuck in there, and the leaves can't breathe anymore, they start to suffer. And they'll also turn all grayish white. You'll see the new tips are nice and green, and after a while they're gray again because you keep watering. So you really gotta try to avoid watering the foliage. You'll see some gray stuff on there because the way the tree is shaped, it's hard to avoid watering it. So some of those are a little gray on there. It's just water, hard water. It's real bad for it, so I try to avoid. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not doing anything special, I'm not even fertilizing that much. It's just don't water the foliage. Water the root ball, yeah. That's it. Why you're using the raffia? Just because I'm going to do a 180-degree bend on this. It's going to be a big bend. If I was at home, I wouldn't use the raffia. I would just bend it. But if I broke this, it'd be really embarrassing. So I'm just going to raffia it.
Please, take those terracotta pots home, I don't wanna take them home. You need any terracotta pots?
Yes.
Okay. How many would you like?
Have Liz grab one.
Grab two. There's a couple sizes up there. Well, there were.
Yeah, terracotta.
Yeah.
There's the end of this wire.
What kind of shape pot? I'll ask for that later. Once we get that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I think it would do it justice because it would be
Yeah, I would use a kind of deeper oval, especially one that has lobes on it. And kind of, you know.
Okay, about 5 more minutes, so make sure you get your tickets, get your kind of pots back here, please. Thank you.
What's my end time here, Joe?
9 o'clock,
Okay.
9:15, 9:30, whatever.
No.
Till they kick us out.
I know you want to do the raffles and stuff.
Well, we're not wrapping that tree up, so.
No, but you have other things to wrap.
Yeah. Well, if you're working, we just go ahead and wrap it.
You guys usually wrap up at 9 though, right?
Yeah, if you're working, yeah.
Okay.
We do it about 10 minutes before 9.
Okay, good.
Liz, did you go to the other? Did you go with him to the show?
Yes, you can.
Where do you think? He told me what he's up to, right?
I really didn't have time to walk through the show. But I like the roses style, but we don't see.
Yeah. What they have, we don't have.
No, for a raffia, yes. Instead of raffia? No. I've only ever used raffia. I've seen people use that twine stuff. I've seen Julian Tsai use like a black cloth tape or something. In fact, I have a tree that he did that I just posted on my Instagram. You can see the black tape on it. I just restyled it. But, you know, it seemed to work real good, but I've never tried anything besides raffia. I never had a problem with it, so I just keep using it. The only reason why I like that twine cut. Yeah. Wow. I want to work on that. I knew it was going to have a kind of token. Oh, yeah. So you could just work on it right away. You know, I just went, it's been sitting in here for 20 minutes. And it's good enough. I just went and did it right when I got here. Told them to go back.
Sorry to bother you. I just like to make sure.
No, maybe I'll just keep it. I'll give you guys a different treat. Oh, wait a minute. What did I sign up for here?
Well, I did see them, but I actually, that's why I signed up for it. I'm gonna be available all that stuff. Yeah, I sent you an email, I'm not sure if you want, but I am signing up for it. Another one? Yeah. Okay, but I know, and I will be, I'll be there for all of those.
Here, you need one? You got it?
4:30, I thought it was gonna have to be more. I'll have to ask for coming in, get off work. But I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, all the information, read. Because, like you said, we have to get.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's usually when I get off of work, 4:30. Well, he wants to come in the door, hey, you get off the door, you get my phone here. I'm very much interested in that.
But we don't want to. No, that's, we want candidates, we need candidates.
Those two, you just start at the base, wire on one side.
Even though this one had a wire on it, I just wired it anyway, because that's what I needed.
Build it all up, so now the tree is like dead piece of stuff on top.
Okay, let's get back started. Grab your snack, make sure you got your tickets, grab your chair stuff out, and let's get Ryan coming back.
Like a light vein, mineral oil. Yeah, baby oil, whatever. I buy a giant thing of mineral oil, it's on the pot, and it's on the light vein.
No, that was me. I gave you permission. Yeah, so I said, no, that's what I thought. And then right here, yeah, that was me. That's what you said. You want to add anything? Oh, I didn't know. Okay, that's what you meant. Studied under, yeah. Okay, please, let's give Ryan his attention, please. Come on down. Okay, Ryan, tell us what's been happening since break time.
All right, so I wired most of the tree by now, and I rappia'd what I'm going to use as the apex branch. I put a little raffia on here because I'm going to do basically a 180-degree bend on this.
Explain why you did the raffia.
I did the raffia because if I broke this branch during a live demo, it would be embarrassing. But if I was at home, I actually probably wouldn't even do the raffia. I would just bend it. But it's just a little bit of safety.
And you and I talked during the break. What kind of pot would you like to see that in?
I would like to put it in. I would like to put it in an oval, preferably an oval that has a little bit of depth to it. Maybe something about this deep and this big. Maybe one that has like lobes on it, kind of a deep moco shape. Yeah, unglazed, of course. A good rule of thumb when you're trying to decide on a pot is if it's a conifer, you're gonna use an unglazed pot. That's just the way it is. With conifers, you use unglazed pots. And if you're gonna use a symmetrical pot, that's something like a square or a circle shape where it's symmetrical all around. Those are really only good for a couple of things. Either it's gonna be a cascade, a semi-cascade, or a literati. Anything besides those, you don't use something that's symmetrical. So rounds, deep rounds, deep squares, you use those with semi-cascades, cascades. Shallow squares, shallow rounds, shallow lotus shapes, symmetrical shapes, shallow ones you use for a bunjin tree. Anything else, you're gonna be using ovals or squares, or rectangles, I should say. With a tree like this, junipers are usually softer trees. They're not real powerful like a pine. A pine, I would usually use something with sharper corners, more rectangle. With juniper, I usually will use ovals. If it's a real strong Yamadori juniper, you could use something with more square proportions. I'll set these back branches. We have more back branch than I can ever use. You don't want your back branch to be really far out. You want it to be shorter than the front branches. The back branches should be as short as possible. These are going to be real long right now because this tree has just been grown out.
So for today, you leave them long and then you trim them back later?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to whip this one around and make it shorter. And then I will probably just get rid of this one completely. It has wire on it, but I don't think we're going to need it. And I'll often do that when I'm working. I'll wire a branch real long, just wire it all the way out, and then decide what it is I'm actually going to need to use on that branch later. And then cut it back. So Joe, you're gonna auction this at the Silhouette Show?
Yeah.
When you auction it, you can tell people that whoever wins it, I will help them repot it.
Okay. You're gonna be there, so I might even call you up.
I will be there. Anybody's looking to speed up their wiring? When you're wiring a branch, you try to support the branch as you go. Try to walk your fingers with the branch. So I hold my finger underneath the branch. I'm supporting this branch right now with my index finger. And I bring the wire down on top, and my index finger is pushing the branch against the wire, so there's no gap. Then I move my thumb over, and I'm pushing on the top of the branch with the top of my thumb, and I bring the wire up against my thumb. And then I move my index, and I just walk as I go. And when you do that, your branch is going to get wired a whole lot quicker, and you're also going to space it out automatically. By moving your finger like this, your wire is going to be perfect 45 every time without you even having to look at it.
When you wire with copper, do you stretch it out a little more than 45?
Yeah, and in that case, I just extend the length of my finger walking. Yeah, I will go a little bit longer on the spacing when I'm using copper.
Has anybody asked, when you put on the trees, that they look a lot darker?
Sun.
Well, the difference between that and the.
Do you mean the live vein?
The live vein.
The live vein. Yeah, it's mineral oil. You can use camellia oil. A lot of people use camellia oil. I just use mineral oil. It's cheap.
Or any particular brand or variety?
Whatever's on Amazon and cheap. I buy a jug this big and I use it for all the pots. I use it on stands. I use it on the live veins.
Do you wire brush it or sand it?
Yeah, you have to wire brush it, or you take a knife, you pick off the big flakes, and then you can sand it and wire brush it if you want. So yeah, all that has been done to these in the last couple months. Just be careful if you're going to oil your live veins. Usually you only do it before a show. It doesn't last that long, and if you stick it out in the sun, you're just going to saute your tree. So be careful putting oil on the live vein in the summer.
So you're telling me they don't like to tan much?
Yeah, they like sun, but not that much.
So would you rinse the oil off before you put it in the sun?
No, I'm keeping him in the shade right now, just because it's going in my club show. And actually, I'm trying to sell the big one, so that's going to be on my sale booth at our club show. And I'm trying to sell the little one too. But, so those are just there because they're going to be seen by people. So another good tip for those of you who are going to be showing trees: put them in the shade for a week or two before the show. It'll help them green up a little bit. That's why these are a little bit greener, because they've been in the shade for about a week. And also, if you hit them with neem oil, spray them with neem oil right before the show, they'll get really green, really fluorescent. But then again, you're putting oil on your trees, so be careful putting it back out into the sun right after you oil them. You gotta be careful with that. You'll have a fried tree.
A little bit of humic acid.
Yeah. What was that? You said humic acid, huh?
8% humic acid and dilute it down.
Uh-huh.
Put it in, just water it with that. It helps green it up some.
Never heard of that. That's interesting. All right, so basically what I'm doing is I'm wiring the last few little things here, trying to position a couple things, decide what I really want and what I really don't want, and clean up the stuff that's kind of flopping down. Generally, you want the underside of your pads to be nice and clean and flat. You can have a little bit of lift. It's too early for that. This tree is not ready for that kind of secondary work, but in the future you can add a little bit of lift to the bottom of your branches if you like. But right now I'm just worried about keeping them clean on the bottom so that you don't see too much stuff drooping around. And this one I think needs to.
You say clean, what do you mean by that?
You want the bottoms to be flat. You don't want to see all kinds of stuff dangling down. Like over here, I got this stuff dangling down over here, and it doesn't give you a clean image. You want to be able to see the pads. So in order to see the pads, you need to clean up the stuff that's flopping down. Otherwise, it all kind of blends together. Looks a little fuzzy. There's only so much you can do on a first styling as far as that goes. I don't think I want this at all. Just gonna get rid of it.
You liked it?
You liked it? It'll make a nice gem. Yeah, you really want to keep the back branches as short as you can. You don't want them to be long. And this, I have a branch right here that's going to be able to grow and fill in that area nicely without it being too contrived looking. And try not to spaghetti things around too much. On a large tree, I wouldn't do it at all.
At what point will you do deadwood work on the main trunk?
You mean as far as shari and stuff goes? Probably the next go around. I wouldn't do it right now because we've just done a lot. But this trunk definitely could use some shari to accentuate the movement. So when you're working on junipers, a good time to work them, generally, you're gonna start doing your refinement work. Beginning of summer, late spring out here because we warm up pretty quickly. So as soon as I start seeing big runners, that's when you work it. That'll usually be late spring, beginning of summer. And then it'll usually push out another set of big runners. You'll let them extend out to get the energy, and then you cut them back again. That's a good time to do shari. Generally spring, that first go around is when you could start doing some shari. And you want to start thin. You don't want to try to do all your shari at once. You just do a little bit, and you expand it over time. And another kind of a tip on designing shari is you're not designing the shari, you're designing the live vein that you want at the end, right? So the live vein is the interesting part, and it's going to be the smallest part when you're done. If you look at the trees in the big shows in Japan, they're mostly shari, right? And just a little bit of live vein. So what you're doing is you're designing where the live vein is going to go. Don't try to make an interesting shari line, try to make an interesting live vein line, okay? Let's put a big wire on this. So since I put raffia on this, I raffiaed it in this direction. My wire needs to go in the same direction. If I wired in the other direction, it's going to loosen the raffia as I wire. So be cognizant of that when you apply your raffia. Just like wire, you need to raffia in the correct direction. Somebody want to bend this for me? Had my eyes closed this whole time.
Start the second curve. Start to twist.
probably bend it a little more in a second, but let me put another wire on this one. Then we'll see what we end up with.
Working on it either, you know, the demo.
It looks more impressive than it is. It's not a very big branch. So another wiring tip. So right now I need to wire this branch, right? But I'm gonna start by wiring this branch because it already has wire on it, so it's stable. If I was to wire this branch out and then start doing this side, this branch is gonna be ripping around because it's not anchored to anything. So when you're wiring a branch to another branch, if you've got one that already has wire, you go ahead and wire the one that already has wire to support it. I'll just do a couple of turns on here. And now this is secure. When I wire this, it's not gonna rip the branch off. Whose idea was it to leave all these gens on here? It's really hard to wire around it.
Put the forefinger and the ring fingers for.
So Ryan, should this tree go in some kind of shade or early morning sun or will we just put it right back in direct sun after you've taken all this material off and now some of this inside foliage is showing?
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's usually something I will say towards the end, but since you brought it up, Ernie. Yeah, I would put this in shade, partial shade to full shade for a week, maybe 2 weeks. Just because, like Ernie said, this is all the interior stuff. It's not as strong as all the nice extending growth that we cut out that's used to seeing the sun. This is used to being shaded out by all those long extensions we had when we started. So because of that, I would shade this for a little bit.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was gonna ask you if you could take that home and care for it until our show. That way,
No.
and that way if you need to make any.
No, he's gonna get too used to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get attached to it.
Yeah. I'm gonna do that. It's too nice.
That way we know it's gonna be taken care of.
Yeah, whatever you guys need.
Okay, and that way if you need to make any adjustments, you can, if it grows any.
If it grows in here.
That's it, yeah.
Well, I don't wanna take the baby all the way away from you.
All right, so
We appreciate it,
on this apex, basically all I did was take a branch that was originally a side branch and I twisted around and laid it down. And now what was the side of that branch is now the top of the tree. So that's pretty standard way of making an apex, and it's gonna fill in as it grows here in the next. Well, we're coming up on the end of the growing season soon, but it'll fill in. Like this one, this is 1 year. 1 year, it's still filling in. But in 2 years, it'll be completely full. I just have a couple more small wires and that'll be it.
Quickly. Yeah. You need a little practice, I know where you come.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Bill's offering his house, if you need more practice.
Well, you know, practice makes perfect. And that's one of the hardest things about trying to learn and get better at this, right? Is how do you practice?
Yeah.
You know, I was very fortunate, and I met David, and he just kind of took me in and let me practice on his trees. Because otherwise, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go buy a new tree every other day to work on? It's just not feasible.
Yeah.
I tried that. They didn't ever come contact me back.
They never did?
Well, they never did.
Yeah. Now, who has the time anymore?
I
You know?
know. Well, most of those trees are already pretty much styled, you just gotta, push them back. We do a little bit of wiring on them.
Yeah, it must be, really exciting to work at a place like the Huntington that has a lot of trees of Provenance and.
Yeah. Magnificent trees there.
Who's Ray? Is Ray still here?
I think he is. Oh, he's here.
Try to compress this a little bit more.
That vertical, Jim, you gonna keep it vertical?
This one?
No, that one.
This one? Yeah, for now. Yeah. If I was at home, I would probably steam bend it a little bit differently, but that's something that can still be done later. All you gotta do is soak it and you can bend it and hit it with a torch.
In January. Good to do it. Hey, Brian,
Yeah,
Victor said if you get with him, he'll make you a pot, what you need, and you can pot it before a show.
okay.
That'll be a donation. That'll be a donation, thank you, Victor.
That's very nice of you. Yeah, let's do that.
That'd be great, thank you.
That one needs more. And then I think we're about done. So, like I said, this is a first styling, right? We shouldn't expect that we're gonna make a kokufu tree here on a first styling. You have to have certain expectations. And the goal with this work is to set structure, make an interesting tree with the structure that we have available, while keeping enough foliage to allow it to develop in the future. So we've cut a lot off of this tree. But it's gonna bounce back and it's gonna start pushing. The next step is to wait for it to really push. You want to see long extension shoots just like we had at the beginning. You want them to be about that long at least. Once you have that, it's okay to cut it back again. You're gonna probably eliminate some more branching because you'll have more bifurcations inside here. You'll be able to remove some of the coarser branching that we kept this time and push it back, push it back, push it back. And in a year, these long extensions that we have kind of everywhere, we'll be able to push them back to this. And in 2 years, you'll be able to push them back to this. Itoigawa is a great tree to work with, a great species, because you can just develop it so quickly, especially if you work it properly. That's the trick with junipers is you need to work it. If you're not working it, it's not going to develop.
That's nice.
I didn't know I had this sitting in my yard this whole time. I would have just kept it and worked it. So I think that's the best we're going to be able to do for tonight.
We're honored to have that tree as, you know, you developed it from scratch.
Yeah.
Let's pull these down back.
Let me see if I got the front right. I was talking the back.
The movement makes it interesting. You know, it is.
Can you rotate it like slowly? Can we rotate so people can see all the sides?
Yeah, let me mark my front from the back so I can put it back. Where's the camera?
Very cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Everybody's got their tickets in who bought them? All in?